Hi guys, it's Megan from imamom2.wordpress.com. Just wanted to share a little bit of a meeting that I had this morning with another mom of a child with autism. And she's preparing to go into what's called here anyway an IPRC meeting, which is Identification Placement Review Committee meeting. And basically the why this meeting happens every year with the school board is to figure out their numbers to allocate resources within the school board itself. So it's a separate meeting from your individualized education plan, where that's primarily it's very student focused, whereas the IPRC meeting is still talking about your child, but how your child gets allocated the resources that the entire board of education has. And it's her first one, which is actually something kind of surprising to me because her child is in grade 1 and he did do SK. So the process usually is to have an IPRC meeting in the spring before the September start of school, but unfortunately that didn't happen for this child. So she has been getting quite a lot of support with the school as much as they can in supporting her child's needs. He does get almost full-time EA support, but with 2 different EAs, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And so the IPRC meeting, she's a little hesitant about, or a little nervous about, I should say. And the big message that I gave to her that I wanted to share to others as well is never walk into a meeting with the school board, with your school administration, apologizing for your child needing these extra supports. They've been identified as being on the autism spectrum disorder or any other special need. And the school board understands that. They recognize that. You have the diagnosis itself that's from a recognized professional. So read up on what your local school board's special needs accommodations are, what your rights are as a parent, what your child's rights are, and how everybody should be working together. Because pretty much all school boards that I've seen, the policies and procedures are in place where it's actually a partnership between you, the school, and your child. And that's how your child's going to be successful in school. So if you read up on these policies, it gives you some language to use when you are speaking with the school officials in an IPRC meeting, for example. And the big message that I gave to her beyond that being, to read up on the policies is do not apologize for your child needing supports. There is no need to apologize for it. It's written within their policies and procedures that they have the accommodations available. You will have to fight for them. I get that, and sometimes it feels like an uphill battle. But as long as you know what your rights are as a parent, what your child's rights are in school, and what the school board as a whole has available to every child to ensure their success in school, then you can use that language and those policies and procedures to ensure that they're enforced. You may walk in saying, you know what, I need full-time EA support for my child, etc., etc. You probably aren't going to get it because of funding issues, because of resource allocations, because of all of these issues that have nothing to do with your child. It's unfortunate, but it's the reality. But as long as you go in very matter of fact and, my child needs this support, this support, this support, this support, then at least the school board knows how to help, how to support your child, how to support his or her learning within the classroom. If you have a shared EA with 1 or 2 other students in the classroom, but that EA is in there for the whole day, that's awesome. But just remember that we, as parents with kids on the autism spectrum, we are, for lack of a better term, competing with, and I hate using that term, but just follow me here, competing with children that have much, much, much higher needs. And I'm talking about physical disabilities, where they have a feeding tube, where they have mobility issues, you know, those are a much higher priority on the funding allocation list for the school board. So as long as you try to think from a business standpoint, from an administration standpoint, rather than this is my child and I need everything in place for him or her. You know, try to remove the emotions from what you're saying, and then try to work with them with what their resources and funding can approve. And do not apologize for your child needing somebody there, because if he's a flight risk, he's just going to run out of the school, and you know what happens then. She was actually sharing this morning that he is high functioning enough to be able to go to the bathroom with a buddy, but one time he didn't want to come back from the bathroom because he was there playing with the water, and the teacher, because the little boy didn't have an EA, the teacher was actually, you know, tried to call in and follow all of the correct procedures that they have in place for the school when a child is not where they're supposed to be, but no EAs were available within the school to be able to leave their current assignment, being another child, to go find this child. So this teacher had to actually leave her classroom of 30-ish kids to go get this mother's child from the bathroom and bring him back to the classroom. So obviously there are tons of safety issues there in that one situation. But it just, you know, these are the types of concrete examples that you need to be able to give in these types of meetings where they are determining these allocations for resources. I actually had our monthly meeting with the school this morning, and they asked for an example of when my son I was all excited that he and I have been actually arguing with him saying full sentences to me, which is just crazy awesome. And I realized the irony of being able to, you know, be excited about arguing with my son, but when he was nonverbal just a few years ago, this is pretty exciting. But I couldn't give her an exact example of this thing, of this situation, because I hadn't even thought to, I mean, it's a positive thing. It's just they wanted to know what kind of interaction that was. And I didn't have that example. But whenever I go into a big meeting, like an IPRC meeting or something like that, I make sure that I write down beforehand 4 or 5 key points that I want to get across, to kind of prove that he still needs to be in the autism specific class that my son is in. So this other mom, I suggested to her to give 4 or 5 prime examples where especially safety was an issue, as in that example that I just gave you. Because it wasn't just a safety issue for her son, it was also a safety issue for the 30 or so other children in her son's class. So I guess the long and the short of it is know your school board's policies around special needs, and if there is an autism specific component to your school board, make sure that you know that language as well. Do not apologize for your child needing extra supports in school to be successful. The policies are there for a reason. And make sure that you try to kind of compile a list of things that you want to talk about in these meetings prior to the meeting, trying to remove as much emotion as possible. Because as soon as you get in there and they say, so tell me about your child, your mind is just going to go blank. So comment down below and let me know of any successes or suggestions that you have for other parents of kids with special needs, whether it's autism or any other special need. And don't forget to subscribe while you're down there too. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.